Don't call me. Good afternoon. Nothing in there about. Coming back, like, neighbor related to Maurice County. Well, how you feeling? Well, 5 years ago, you know, I feel that, when we got in this team, Anything wrong? I was like, there's our good. Well, that's the good. Yes. Yes. Exactly. Our goal is to make come back and more. That's the my training board or more training up to and then she's been a bunch of great jobs. From house today. Back. Yeah. Ready whenever you. Good afternoon, Rotarians. It's good to be back with you after being gone for a week. I'm glad to see we've got a full room and we have a great speaker today, so I'm looking forward to this. My name is David Sager. I'm your president for this year, and welcome to the 104-year-old Rotary Club of Fayetteville. Let's do the four-way test of what we think, say, or do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better creations? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Ray Boudreau.
Not much room for me to stand.
I'll have to push you that way a little bit.
Stand on my tiptoes here.
Well, hi, Rotarians. The Cogogs are here to lead you in singing today. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That sounded like a very expensive piece of property just fell.
Tell me this will be the last time for a while.
Yeah, we were gonna sing there. That's it.
We're gonna do This Is My Country, and you'll notice for some reason my email with the songs went into cyberspace and did not get to our president. So you'll have to remember the words yourself, and we'll do a little intro, and then we'll do This Is My Country for the patriotic song. Please sing along with this. It's in the key of E flat. That doesn't sound like E flat.
That's eager to see.
What do you want to do?
This is my country to hold, to hold. What difference if I hail from north or south, or from the east or west? My heart is filled with love for all of these. I only know I swell with pride, and deep within my breast, I thrill to see Old Glory paint the breeze. This is my country, land of the birth. This is my country, grandest on earth. Oh, let's see my allegiance, America, the born. For this is my country to hold, to hold.
We're gonna do the pledge allegiance for our nation's flag. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Let's turn it to our sing-along.
Oh.
Today, our sing-along song is In the Good Old Summertime. Would you believe the summertime has showed up in Fayetteville in spades, I would say, yes? Okay, in the good old summertime, we'll do a couple of little intro measures, and then please sing along with us. We'll do it twice. And it's in the key of what? B flat?
Yep.
B flat. I gotta find it here. Yeah. And then I gotta go.
Summertime, summertime, in the good old summertime, in the good old summertime, rolling through the shady lanes with your baby mom. You hold her hand and she holds yours, and that's a very good sign, a sign that she's your tootsie wootsie in the good old summertime. In the good old summertime, in the good old summertime, rolling through the shady lane with your baby mom. You hold her hand and she holds yours, and that's a very good sign, a sign that she's your tootsie wootsie in the good old summertime. In the good old summertime.
There you go. Have a great day, Rotarians. Thank you, Mr. President.
How is everybody? All right, I got notes to make sure I don't screw up too bad. So, first up, I'm going to introduce guests. I never get in the right order. Members with guests. I think Jerry Patton went by RV, South RV and got everybody out of there. You're gonna have to do this one.
And we quickly, introduce them to you by standing up. First is my wife, Sherry. As of August 10th, we'll be married 50 years. My daughter Paige Argus, Jill Worzeski, and my three grandsons, Austin Worzeski, Patrick Worzeski, and Chase Argus.
All right. David Sager has a guest. President David Sager has a guest.
Off guard with that.
Yeah.
This is a man whose face is very familiar and he's no introduction. Please welcome Victor Wilson.
Hey, Victor. Jim Wood has a guest. And Kelly Holmes has a very, very, very special guest, there we go. All right. And visiting Rotarians, Wade Caldwell, but Wade Caldwell also has a guest, so you gotta. And then I would like to recognize Ed Fryer with the Board of Trustees for the University of Arkansas System. Okay. I'll come back to Ed in just a second. Ray, I think, has a guest. I'll throw it out there.
Dan, this is good. Bill from Madison and Carroll County, coming to join us today, visiting Fayetteville, his hometown.
All right. Well, so for those of you who don't know Ed, here's what you need to know. He's solely responsible for getting Chuck Culver on the Ag Hall of Fame, Arkansas. So as you know, I advocated against him being included or voted on or anything, but I couldn't outpower Ed on the board. So you have to take up the complaints with him. All right. So the invocation today, my invocation is not going to make any sense to you, but it's going to give you something to think about. One time, our dear friend, recently deceased friend, Louis Zeppeli, he said something to me that really stuck with me. He said, Harrison, as you get older, you're going to realize there's people in your life who at the time you had no idea made any difference. But as decades go by, you're going to realize that that moment or that interaction made a huge difference in your life. He said, you just watch and see. So that's the main thing I want you to think about. And I want to give just a couple of random examples. I could give, I'm going to skip over the mom and dad, brother, sister, all that stuff. But the first one, I remember being in the First United Helena Methodist Church in Helena, Arkansas. And if you were to describe it in one word, it would be apathetic. And I was just a little kid, maybe 6 years old. And it was Ken Hatfield and Dick Hatfield's mother. Billy Lou Hatfield was our pianist and organist in that church. Whatever hymn we sang, like as bad as we are at singing, we just knocked them out of the water. We're great at singing. But we did such a bad job, the adults did. I just stood there like a little kid. But the preacher came back up to start the sermon back, and she just stood up from the back where the choir part is and said, stop, we cannot have a church service and have that on the record. We have got to do that song over. And as a young child, that taught me that just a young kid learning about the world, it taught me, words from a person can make a difference, because it did help, and it made a difference with me. The other one won't take as long. I was very involved in the Boy Scouts. There's a gentleman named Sam Reyna. He had no idea at the time, but he was very influential in me becoming an Eagle Scout and doing all those things. And along the way, I was a senior patrol leader. We were on this camping trip, and nobody did anything at all that I was telling them or asking them to do. That's how great of a leader I was. Same thing with Rotary, and he came over and he said, you have got to get a grip on this. And I said, I don't know what to do. Boy, I was 14, 15. He put his finger in my chest. He said, you asked for the job and it's lonely at the top. He said, figure it out. And that was a huge lesson for me. So Whoever the Sams and the Billy Lou Hatfields are in your life, hope you take time to think about them and remember 'em. That's my invocation.
Harrison, you're right. It is lonely at the top. You get accused of not reading your emails, not putting words up. Um, it's still July. It's the last day of July. So we continue to support disaster response in Texas. They're still cleaning up a huge mess. So please be generous and we will forward those contributions to the Rotary Causes Disaster Response, and that will get to the right district and it'll make a difference. Announcements. So while you're thinking about your community service projects or member recognition or committee initiative or update, I'll give the floor to Chatty. What's going on, Chatty?
They rescheduled this, it's supposed to be June 12th, and there was so much rain, they were afraid their trucks were gonna get stuck in the mud. So they rescheduled it, and I was dreading it, but it's at least 12 degrees cooler than it was yesterday. So I'm very excited about tonight, and I hope you come out, bring the kids in.
Yay. 7 to 9 at Gully Park. Who doesn't love Ultra Suede? I love Ultra Suede. Any other announcements? Harrison.
Daddy got cool enough. I never have one, but I'm gonna take advantage of it this time. So on Saturday, Jack Buck was being honored. He's the first, I just even asked about him off the side correctly, the first member of the new Fayetteville High School Alumni Society, part of the Fayetteville Public Education Foundation. We're having a fundraiser at George's on Saturday. What time? 4 to 7. And the part that's really cool about it, in addition to Jack, our son, youngest Jake, is in a band and they're playing as part of that fundraiser. So it's a good opportunity to have music at the park. Hope they're not rained out, and then can't get rained out at George. It'll be good there.
Harrison, actually, it's free at George's.
So it's free.
If you're an alumni member.
So it's free if you're an online member.
George's.
Hey, that's this Saturday. George's, 7 o'clock. And another announcement. All right, before I move on, any other announcements on the floor? Okay, also on Saturday, we're invited later. There's no drive time in there, but starting at 7 o'clock, we're invited to Rotary Night at the NWA Naturals game. We're playing Corpus Christi. It's $12 for entry. $6 of that is coming back to your Rotary Club. And the tickets will be in your name at the will call window. And this is organized by Rick McLeod, our assistant DG, and Ted Sego. Can someone tell me which club Ted is in? North Side. Okay. And we will have special guest District Governor John Raines from Tulsa will be there. Today is the day to RSVP. So tell me today at the meeting or send me an email. Don't send me an email. That's no, send me an email. I'll be watching, or text or call me. Harrison, is there a way to collect from members the $12 for those that participate? Harrison says he can do it. I want to make that easy for everybody who wants to participate. And before the end of the meeting today, if there is one Pharaoh member here that would be willing to volunteer to greet our members and collect, well, I guess, you know, I had mixed signals in the email. One said to collect the money ahead of time and send it in, and another said to have someone there to collect at the table. So I guess you'll have options. We need a volunteer for that. So please tell me today, call or email me with your RSVP, and we'll look forward to seeing you there. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Christine Cook. Thank you. Thank you, Emily. All right. People of action need action photos. We have zero. We have no participation. Zero participation. There have been promises unmet. Okay, how do we contact you? Okay, that's how we do it. Dig into your phones. Look at your photo albums. Figure out what you have that can be shared. And we just need to get some service activities going and take more photos too. So that's coming up soon. More on that very soon. Okay, Harrison. Well, introduce our guest.
Do we have a Paul here? We do? The whole table, Paul.
All right. Please come. Oh, okay. Oh, another email that was sent to me. Lovely.
Thank you. Sorry to jump in here, but Jerry's brought his whole family here, including Mathis, who's going to be our next Paul Harris recipient. And let me give this. Let me cover a few things about Paul Harris so Mathis knows what he's getting into. 120 years ago, a young attorney in Chicago, Illinois named Paul Harris founded Rotary. Today, there are over 200 Rotary clubs in the world. 200 in 200 countries, there are Rotary clubs. 60 years ago, Rotary Foundation began awarding Paul Harris recognition for those willing to contribute to the foundation. To date, over 1 million people have received this award, including presidents and astronauts. In this club, we have 82 Paul Harris Fellows, almost 70% of our membership. One thing that all these people share in common are the values that Paul Harris established founding this organization. As you receive this award, I ask that you incorporate these ideals in your life as you grow into a man. Honesty and truth, fairness in all your dealings, friendship to all, and service to your family, your friends, your community, and wherever life takes you. Congratulations, Mathis. Give him a hand. Would you like to say anything? No. No. Okay. You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
So I want to be short. So he said, please. So I do need to tell you a few things really quickly about him. He started on the role that he's in as president of the University of Arkansas System in January of this year. Prior to that, he was the associate vice president and executive director of the Texas A&M University, and also the Bush School of Government and Public Service in Washington, D.C. His military background is too extensive to even try to recite, but it's includes Deputy Commander of Combined Air Force Component, U.S. Central Command in Southwest Asia, Commander of U.S. Air Force War Center, Vice Commander of the 14th Air Force Space Command, and he was awarded a Distinguished Service Medal and a Bronze Star. Last night, I was flying in from Indianapolis. I got stalled in Chicago for a good 6 to 7 hours. And just ended up, Congressman Womack and I were on the same flight, so we're in the same predicament. His predicament was worse because he was stuck with me for 6 hours, and slightly worse. But when he walked up, he said, "What are you working on?" I said, "I'm thinking of I got to do an introduction of President Severia tomorrow at Rotary." And then he said, "Oh, I can just tell you," and I didn't have anything to write with, but he really likes you a lot, a lot. And he had a couple like kind of nice things to say about Ed. Like he was a little less tepid, more tepid, it wasn't very convincing, but with you, he was 100%. He said, I said, "I can't remember all that." And he said, "Well, just tell me he's a really good person." I said, "Okay." So President Sevier is a very good person, and he's going to visit with us today, and we appreciate you being here. Thank you.
So, does this one work? Does this one work? I'd rather walk out among the people here and talk. So thank you, Harrison. Thank you for the invitation, David. Thank you for the chance to be here. I did have a 35-year military career, and the last thing I did in the military, I was a pilot, and the last thing I did was I was the superintendent of the United States Air Force Academy. And that's when I got the higher ed bug. And from there, I then, as Harrison mentioned, went into Texas A&M, but fortunate enough to be here since January. The governor actually, a couple of days ago, she was speaking at the Little Rock Rotary, and she made talked about one of the things that she's been tracking is about the in-migration into Arkansas, and that Arkansas is leading the nation right now and how many people that are moving into the state. So that's me. I'm an in-migrant. I'm a migrant. I'm an Arkansas migrant that has, so I'm a first-generation Arkansan now is what I'm calling myself. Since January. So thanks for the invitation. This May, I had the privilege of going to 5 different commencement ceremonies around the system. And at one of the ceremonies, there was a young woman who spoke as part of the ceremony, and she told her story. And what she told the story of was that she was a struggling young single mom, and that she started in a local community college. Fits and starts with that. She eventually found her footing and completed her associate's degree with a community college in our system. And then she transferred to a 4-year school in our system that she was graduating from. But while she was at that system, she completed an internship at another location, happened to be UAMS. So she, completed an internship, and then that is what the system does, because this woman now graduated from this campus that I was at with a 4-year degree and an outstanding job. And that is the kind of work of changing lives and making lives that the University of Arkansas system is doing. So I want to tell you that story, and we'll talk about that. So I don't know how I advance. Oh, by the way, Ed Fryer which was called out as a member of the Board of Trustees. There are 10 members on that board, and the support that I get and the help, it's outstanding. So Ed, thank you. Thank you for being here. So if you don't know, if you look around the state of Arkansas, this is where we have presence all around the state. So it's 21 campuses, divisions, units. We're about to be 22 because North Ark College will now become part of the University of Arkansas system. The Department of Ag has a presence in all 75 counties. There are county agents in all of those counties, in addition to the research centers that are around within the Division of Ag. There's some other things that you may not know about around the state. The Garvin Gardens, CJI, we do the follow-on education for a lot of law enforcement, continuing education around the state. The Archaeology Survey has about 5 million artifacts and continues to dig around Arkansas and preserve those, preserve the history of the state. And then we have a number of affiliations that I'll talk about a little bit later with other institutions that are in the state. And if you haven't heard of University of Arkansas Grantham, that would make sense because it's 100% online, has about 5,000 students that people around the country and in fact around the world are taking classes with the University of Arkansas Grantham. So that's us in a complete view around the state. And that's a total budget that's a little over $4 billion. It's 27,000 employees, and as you can see that we have nearly 70,000 students. Our benefits and our program, when you add family members in, 35,000 people that are really part of our family. These institutions across that map have given out 99,000 degrees in recent years. When you think about making lives and changing lives, the impact that this system is having across the state. So let me walk you around some numbers and some concepts around what's going on within the system. I'll start in the upper right. I mean, we know, and we are proudly a state institution, of course, but the $500 million that we get from state investment across the entire system, we are returning that 10 times at $5 billion in economic impact around the state. In the middle, you see the $375 million in annual research between what goes on at UA Fayetteville, what goes on at UAMS, what goes on in agriculture, a little bit at Little Rock, Pine Bluff, and Fort Smith. The research there is $375 million and climbing. There are still, regardless what you hear perhaps in the news, there are still plenty of research opportunities, and we're continuing to work on those. In the bottom right, you'll see it's important to me and important to us and the board, and it should be important to all of us as taxpayers, how this money is spent. And $8 out of the $10 that we have is spent on those components, the important part of really our core mission of instruction, research, our public service scholarships, and student services. So along the left here, if you're smart enough, you can go to one of the most elite residential high schools in the country that's part of our system. You can then get certificates, degrees, associate's degree, bachelor, on up, JD, MD, all never leaving the University of Arkansas system. That is, all of those components are within our system. So I want to talk a little bit about the state funding, because we should all start by, anytime I want to talk, to be appreciative of the taxpayers of the state of Arkansas, because it's important, and we have to be good stewards of that, and talk about how that revenue goes into the system and what that looks like across the state. So I'm going to get your attention to the lower left-hand graph. I don't know who I'm standing in front of. And if you'll notice the yellow line down the middle, that's a combined number of the percentage of revenue that comes from state funding. So you can see within the year we're at right now, it was 21.6 degrees percentage of revenue. But you can see it has ticked down a little bit. I would not make that about the amount of state funding. That's as much about the other part of the equation, which is that higher education has become increasingly more expensive and has outpaced inflation consistently for the past 15 years. So, and you see on the right-hand side, that represents the University of Arkansas here in Fayetteville, since I'm knowing my audience a little bit, that percentage of funding for here in Fayetteville. But as I mentioned, the cost of education has continued to go up. It's important that we didn't do that on the backs of the students. And so you can see, again, the yellow line has stayed pretty consistent to 22.6% of the revenue has come from tuition and fees. So we haven't managed that increase on the backs of our students through the process. And I think that's an important story. And I tell you, as a president of the system, it's really helpful to have a PhD economist on the board in Dr. Fryer, because he helps us with a lot of this. And if you look at this, this shows that tuition and fees adjusted for inflation over time have ticked down but have largely remained flat, which I think is an important point for those when you consider the affordability of the University of Arkansas system. So I'm going to talk about some opportunities and some challenges, and then I want to open it up for some of your questions. First off, we're having some leadership transitions at UAMS. We're starting a search there. Dr. Graham just started at the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff a couple weeks ago, and we're doing searches at Hope, Texarkana, and for the high school position at ASMSA. So we have some leadership transition. We have some accelerated learning programs that you may not be aware of that in fact are really groundbreaking. The Collegiate Academy allows high school students to take concurrent credit and actually complete an associate's degree while they're in high school. 2 years ago, 100 students around the state graduated with an associate's degree when they graduated from high school. This year, 200 did. And we have no reason to believe that that is the potential there is really remarkable. And we're going to continue to put energy against that. The campus within a campus is very much a groundbreaking idea for those that are at a 2-year school. They have an opportunity to stay at the 2-year school and complete a 4-year degree from another institution. And right now, UA Monticello is the one that has started that, and they're really leading us. They have a relationship with National Park College, and also we're starting a new one with East Arkansas in our system. So you stay at those locations and you complete your 4-year degree, which is really remarkable. It is an important priority of mine that as a system, we are completely responsive to all of the business leaders around the state. I mean, we have to be responsive to the employers that are receiving our graduates. And so to that end, recently, some of you may have seen it, we sent out a letter to 3,500 businesses through the state chamber saying that very thing, which is that we want your feedback. We've had a number of workforce summits. You'll see it on the bottom. We've had 9 workforce summits where we meet with local employers, superintendents of the school systems, and we bring them on campus to talk about what they need so that then we can be responsive in our curriculum and in our programs. The state has been generous with hired grants and aligned grants that allows us to help our students at our schools. No doubt we have some challenges that are going on. I'll talk through just some of those and then we'll open up questions. The demographic headwinds that we're really facing are nationwide. In many ways, they're regional and sometimes very localized, but there is no doubt that in 2029, there will be less 18-year-olds than there are now. I mean, that's a fact. And so we have to figure out, us as institutions, how we're going to look for more adult learners, how we're going to be responsive to employers, and upskilling and reskilling and re-educating some people. But we will have fewer students, and we have to figure out what to do about that. In addition, the college going rate has been dropping consistently over the past few years. Unsure why, perhaps there's some education experts in here, but it's down about 2% for 4-year entry around the country for college going rates among 18-year-olds. Additionally, that is higher among men than it is women. So that's just a headwind that we're going to have to face. And this downward pressure we're expecting through 2029. The research funding, while I mentioned we think there's up potential there, it's very clear that some of the rules on that are changing. The way that we manage the costs and the indirect costs, what type of grants are available from federal agencies. So there's new rules, so we have to figure out and function within the new rules. So those indirect cost reimbursements, that's made the news some, that it may go from 40% to 15%, and what that does to the institutions that have research. And we can talk about that. Certainly, intercollegiate athletics, oh my gosh. The House settlement, which I'm sure there's plenty of lawyers in here. It's not really a settlement anymore. It's an injunction, I think. It's a House injunction. So we now have financial obligations. And as of this morning, University of Arkansas Fayetteville has 100 students that are on contract with the university this morning. It started this morning. In addition, there's a website where someone goes on and submits a NIL application through Deloitte. It's just a clearinghouse. In addition, the rosters have changed, the scholarships have changed, so all of that is really tough among intercollegiate athletes. So, in the program, so we can certainly talk about that. So, this is us. You know, all of our places that are all around the state, and that's the story. I'm exceptionally proud to be here and be part of this, just because of the difference that we're making for Arkansans and for those students. So please let me open it up for any questions. Yes, sir. maybe they're lost. So I know, frankly, there's a little bit of emotion, particularly around University of Arkansas Fayetteville. This year will be the highest percentage of Arkansans. Chancellor Robinson, looking at the numbers for August, the highest percentage of Arkansans that they've had so far. I think there's a bit of a misinformation about that Arkansas taxpayers are subsidizing Texas students. The truth is, if you break down the money, it's the other way around, because those students pay quite a bit more for the privilege of crossing that border and coming to Arkansas. So I actually was here last night for dinner, and I sat at the bar because I was there with all my friends, right? So I sat at the bar, and this couple sat down next to me, and they said to the bartender, "Oh yeah, we're from Texas, and our daughter's about to start from." So clearly, but there is some misinformation out there about the fact that we're subsidizing that in some way. So, but I will tell you that it will be important for the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville and all of the rest of our system. We need to do the recruiting around our region. And there are programs, particularly at Fayetteville, that are world renowned and that people want to come here, not just from Texas, that people want to come here for those programs, and we should take advantage. We should take advantage. Sir, his hand was up first. Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
I think most everyone realizes how important UAMS is to healthcare for people that reside in Arkansas. Give us any more of an update about a new chancellor, how that's going, and what we can look forward to.
Yeah, absolutely. When Dr. Patterson asked to step down and return to the faculty, Dr. Lowry Barnes was named as the interim chancellor for UAMS. And you should know that his first day on the job, he flew up to Northwest Arkansas, and he met up here with all of the senior healthcare leaders up in Northwest. We also have a sizable presence of UAMS here with a few hundred students additionally, so he met with that group. They're also started construction on a new orthopedic sports performance component here in Fayetteville. So Dr. Barnes and myself see Northwest Arkansas and UAMS as a crucial part of the future of healthcare and the future of UAMS in the state. But that didn't get to your question. So the search for the permanent chancellor is started. We have named the chair, which is Dr. Bill Steinbach, who's the chair of pediatrics. He will lead the search. We have a search firm. We're going through the interviews with stakeholders right now, and we'll probably go out with an advertisement within weeks that will go nationwide. We intend to do a nationwide search because UAMS is a remarkable clinical facility, a remarkable research facility, and it's also has education. So we need somebody that has experience in all that, so we're going to do a nationwide search. We expect to have people here in those final interview visits. December, early January is the timeline that I've given Bill. So excited really for the future there. Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Well, the concern that you see publicly is the same concern in the UA system. There's no specific institution that has any different set of rules or has figured out something different than any others. To be perfectly clear, we have to comply with all of federal rules and laws, what the State Department does on the visa, right? That's an expectation. So we're going to do that. So the impact there will be that a number of students that were in residence already may not be able to return. based on those rules that we have to follow. Some students that applied, because any of you that have applied to school, you know, it takes a long time to apply and it takes even longer if you're doing it from a foreign country. And so they may not be able to come. That's going to impact faculty. We have faculty around the state at institutions all over the state that are international. Some of them are part of the travel, there's nations that are in the travel ban. In addition, they are nations that we have struggles with visas. So they may not be able to return if they travel. So they have to make decisions for themselves and their family. So all of that's going on. The impact will be that we will have fewer international students. Most likely, we will have fewer international students in the fall than we had before. What we don't know is how many. The other part of that impact, the next level of detail, is that our graduate programs across the system have a higher percentage of international students than our undergrad, which means that our graduate programs will have more of an impact on students. But we're definitely, the real answer to your question is we're definitely going to see an impact. We're definitely going to see fewer students because of that. So he had something. Yes, hang on a second, sir. Go ahead. Uh-huh. Yeah.
Community, but then not overbuild when you're going to have unused units possibly.
Yeah. I've talked to Chancellor Robinson quite a bit about this. I think I can't give you much of a specific answer, but I'll give you just a couple of thoughts that I think are important. Is that it's more about the way that we work on this problem. And my expectation of Chancellor Robinson and expectation of all the chancellors in the system is that they're engaged, and they should be engaged with community leaders, engaged with developers, engaged with elected leaders, engaged with business leaders to really make sure that we understand the problem. I mean, we have to engage and work through those details. And the only way to do that is to get out in the communities. By the way, this is not the only location around the system that struggles with housing, with struggles with affordable housing, with struggles with student housing. The other part is that I've made it clear to the chancellors all around the system that there might be a different way to look at how we handle some of our building, right? So living space and office space, for example, they're not unique to higher ed. I mean, an office is an office. Now, some things are unique to higher ed. Labs, classrooms, those are unique to higher ed. There's a lot of places around the country that are taking on the housing problem and some of the office space problem in a different way than the university just owning everything. The way we do it now is that we raise money or borrow money and we build a building, and then 20 years later, we go to the Board of Trustees and complain that we don't have money for deferred maintenance, right? That's the way we do it now. There might be a different way because there's a lot of developers who might be interested in leasing back. And we just need to get over the paradigm in higher ed that we have to own everything. And so I think there's a different way. One of our community colleges has just done this. They've just done with a local developer that built space and is leasing it back. And so we don't have to own it. So that's not really an answer to your specific question. I completely understand. But I think we should be creative about different ways in campus and different ways on the edge of campus. So I think I'm getting the hook.
Would you come to the front? Thank you. Thank you for the information. Thank you for coming today and sharing your information with the UA system. I've been to 2 of these colleges here, and I'm a graduate of the Sam Walton School. So I'm very appreciative, very big supporter. Now, if Victor, you would, so this is the penalty Victor gets for coming and being my guest is I put him straight to work, but I thought Victor would be a great presenter for our Rotary Club presentation.
Thank you, President Sager. It is an honor, and I appreciate you for bringing me up for this. I'd like to present the president with a token of our appreciation from our Rotary Club. Thank you. We refer to this as a rampaging razorback on a rotary wheel, but we call it the hog on a cog. And we really thank you for your presentation. We appreciate it.
You can never have too many razorbacks.
Exactly, definitely.
Thank you, Victor. All right. Well, that's all we have today. Thanks for being here, everybody.